Eric Peterson on Williston Trending Topics News Radio Live.
Coyote Country News Time, 8:06. Good morning. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, June 13th, and the weather has cooled off a little bit. And Eric Peterson, I'm rejoicing about that, and I'm also kind of wondering what you have to tell us this morning about real estate in Williston.
Good morning, and thank you, Dee. Thanks for having me weekly as always. Really excited to be here. The weather is amazing, and we obviously know why we froze 6 months this last winter so that we could be here right now. So happy to be here reporting about the current Williston and Bakken area real estate. There's been a lot of questions that we've been receiving lately about what direction is the real estate market going, and should I be buying or should I be staying put in renting? And so we're going to talk about that today. So if you have considered buying and you're a little bit nervous, maybe you are saving up your money, just wondering, is now the right time to buy real estate? I'm here to tell you that it is. And if you look at the stats in history, Dee, it's pretty amazing. Right now, we're going to run a quick comparison versus buying a $350,000 house versus renting. That at today's interest rates of just around 7%, which a lot of people are going to choke on, but they are better rates than they have been historically in some years. And really at the end of the day, it just comes down to your monthly payment. The monthly payment on a $350,000 house with 20% down, I realize that not everybody can put 20% down, however, but that's going to be somewhere around the $2,000 a month range. By the time you throw in your property taxes, your insurance, and other monthly expenditures, let's just assume that's somewhere around $2,500. Well, if you can rent a place that's similar, obviously it's not going to be as nice as a single family house. It's going to be a townhome, maybe an apartment. We know that those rents are skyrocketing as well. But let's just assume for a second that you would pay $2,000 to rent as a comparison. Over the next 3 to 5 years, it's staggering though, the difference. And over a 10-year period, believe it or not, it's going to be a $138,000 difference versus buying today versus continuing to rent, which is absolutely staggering. And let me run you through those numbers for those people that like numbers and just want to see it on paper. If you assume that house prices in our area are going to go up by 4% a year appreciation, in other words, your house is going to be worth every year over the next 10 years 4% more than it is today, that's really where the numbers make a huge difference. Because quite honestly, houses have been growing by more than that in our area, Dee. They've been going by 8 to 10%, which is pretty staggering over the last couple of years. We've talked about it before. High employment, high wage growth, and realistically, we have a lot less supply here than other areas of the country that you read on the newspapers and the doom and gloom. So somebody that buys that house today would appreciate, and that house would, over 10 years, increase by $138,000 in value. But what most people don't realize is that by paying somebody else's mortgage, you do two things. Number one, you obviously pay for their future and their retirement and the things that they want to do. But more importantly, you don't pay yourself. And most people forget about when they're calculating this comparison, the advantages tax-wise of owning your own home. So for a lot of you out there that may not have kids that are making so much money, if you're making 6 figures, probably the biggest thing that you hate to do is write out your tax bill at the end of the year. $40,000, $50,000 from some of our clients that are working hard and busting their butt and watching that money go to Washington. And we know the story there that if you've been following the news, we can't even budget our own budget, right? We have a budget deficit, we have a debt ceiling. All the money that goes to Washington seems to us to be not in a good place. So by just saving money in taxes, if you're in the average tax bracket of 25 to 30%, you're going to be able to have a standard deduction and a benefit from writing off your home mortgage interest. And additionally, any expenses and repairs that you have on that home that are related to improving its value will help with your cost basis so that when you go to sell it someday, you don't have to pay taxes on that gain. And here is a really interesting thing. If you thought about continuing to pay rent, they're projecting rental rates here to go up 5 to 7% a year over the next 5 years. Why? Because there's no new apartments coming. There's more and more people that are moving to the area, people that are not in good economic conditions across the country. And it's absolutely staggering now how much rents have increased.
They have increased.
Right?
They have already increased. I have a good friend that her rent actually almost doubled
Yep.
And so she, it was put her in a very difficult situation.
Yep, absolutely. So we're seeing that. We've rented a whole bunch of apartments here in the 14 years that I've been here, placed about 3,000 people in apartments around here. 2-bedroom apartments back in the day were going for $3,500. They then dropped down to that $800 a month to $900 range. Well, now anybody that has their 1-year renewal is paying about 15% more on average than they did just a year ago. And if you look and you call these apartments, it's hard to find a place to live. Townhomes are full, twin homes are full, trailers are full. So it really just comes down to finding a good, safe place for yourself and your family, and then starting to think about the future. So back to that equation on cost of waiting. Well, if you wait over a 5-year period, believe it or not, that's going to be about a $30,000 difference in just equity savings alone. And over the 10 years, as we discussed, the numbers is going to be somewhere around a $40,000 gain just from the price appreciation, which is pretty staggering. The other question people wants to know is, what if I wait a year? I want to save up and maybe I'll wait for interest rates to come down. We're here to tell you that interest rates will not be coming down anytime soon. As we predicted the last time they dropped 3 months ago, we said the Fed's going to continue to push interest rates. The market's going to push interest rates. The Fed's meeting again this week, and we hope that that's the last of the 10 interest rate hikes. But what's happening is that because we're spending so much money with this quote-unquote Inflationary Reduction Act, that has actually increased the price of goods and services at a record pace. Inflation is high. The only way to lower inflation is to raise interest rates. So rates will stay high for probably the foreseeable future, or at least until the next election cycle. Obviously, remember that when you're voting. But if you wait 1 year, the payment difference is estimated at only $80 more to buy a year from now if rates keep going up. So if you want to lock in today, save yourself $1,000 a year by locking in at today's rates versus watching them go into that 7.5% range. The loss, however, in price appreciation, D, on the average house here in Williston of $350,000 is $13,000. So what that means is somebody that doesn't buy a house today will be wasting out on $13,000 of a price appreciation. In other words, value in your house that you could have that you don't have today. And if you run that number over 2 years and 3 years, that's $27,000 in 2 years and $41,000 in 3 years. So if you're sitting there right now wondering, is now the time to buy? It is. Buy today while there's still inventory. Buy today before more people flood back to this market and buy and compete with you in the game of musical chairs that nobody continues to win. Get something locked in today, and then when interest rates come down, you can refinance at that time once they start coming back down. So don't be scared of interest rates. Don't be scared of this economy. It's here to stay. Oil prices have pulled back a little bit, but we're here to say that oil prices will continue to go up as OPEC has curbed production, and the oil companies this time learn from their mistakes of 7, 8, 9 years ago, and they are not going to crank out so much oil that it pushes the prices down. So, lesson here today, if you're considering buying, wondering if now is the time, yes, now is the time. Go find a local lender. There's so many horror stories you wouldn't believe about somebody that has an out-of-state lender. I found lenders on the internet. You need somebody that's here. Somebody that knows the landscape, somebody that you can sit down with face to face and have a conversation. There's so many good lenders here, you wouldn't believe it. If you have any questions on who's great, give us a call and we'll give you a list. Go in there, meet with these people. It's absolutely the perfect time to buy. And if you need a real estate professional, once you get pre-qualified, we're happy to help. We've done over 600 deals in the last couple of years. We're excited to be here. So if you're thinking about buying, now's the time. Give us a call at Proven Realty. We'd be happy to help. And thanks for having us again, Dee.
Ohio Country News Time, 8:15 every Tuesday morning. We are honored and just it's always a privilege, Eric, to talk to you with Proven Realty EXP. Thank you for coming in this morning.
Thanks again, Dee. I appreciate it.